The house was quiet, too quiet for a place where two children were supposed to feel safe. The little boy sat on the floor clutching his younger sister, tears streaking his smudged cheeks as he whispered, "Don't hurt us, please. We didn't do anything." His small hands trembled as he tried to shield his sister from the harsh voice echoing across the living room. His stepmother stood above them, anger in her eyes, her shadow stretching across the frightened children. She had always worn a mask when their father was around, sweet smiles, soft words, but the moment he left for work, that mask slipped and her cruelty spilled out like poison. She saw these children not as innocent souls, but as reminders of a love she never truly had. The boy's sobs filled the silence. "We'll be good. Just don't hurt us." He tried to be brave, tried to stand between his sister and the woman, though his small frame was trembling, and then the front door slammed. A deep, familiar voice boomed through the house. "What is going on here?" The boy froze, lifting his head. His eyes widened with disbelief and hope. Their father was home. He wasn't supposed to be. He worked late, he traveled, he was always busy building the empire that gave his family everything. But tonight, fate brought him back early. The stepmother's face drained of color. She spun around, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Darling, you're early. I was just." "Just what?" His voice thundered as his eyes fell on his children, their faces streaked with tears, their bodies trembling. In that instant, the world shifted. He wasn't the calm, composed businessman the world admired. He was a father, furious, protective, and heartbroken. He dropped his briefcase, rushed forward, and scooped the boy and his sister into his arms. They clung to him desperately, their cries muffled against his chest. He could feel every shiver, every sob, and it tore at his soul. "Did she hurt you?" he asked softly, his voice breaking now, his anger battling with guilt. The boy only buried his face deeper, unable to speak. That silence was louder than any confession. He turned to his wife, her lies already crumbling under the weight of truth. "I trusted you with them," he said, his voice low, trembling with rage. "I gave you a home, a family, and this is how you treat my children." The stepmother stammered, excuses spilling, but none could cover the cracks. He didn't need proof. He had seen it in his children's eyes, in the way his son begged for mercy, in the way his daughter cowered behind him. That was all the truth he needed. And in that moment, the walls of wealth and success around him meant nothing. What mattered was the fragile trust of two small hearts who had just learned that not every adult can be kind. He looked at them, their innocence wounded but not broken, and silently vowed that they would never feel unsafe again. He pulled them closer, his strong arms wrapping around their trembling bodies like a shield. "You'll never have to beg again," he whispered, his voice cracking, "not while I'm here." The boy lifted his tear-stained face and, for the first time that evening, allowed himself to believe it. He believed that kindness could still exist, that love could still protect, and that sometimes, even in the darkest moments, someone would show up just in time. Because that night, their father didn't just return home, he returned to them. The little boy's sobs slowed as his father held him tighter. For the first time in months, he felt safe, wrapped in the warmth of the arms he had longed for every night. His little sister peeked up at her father too, her tiny fingers clutching his shirt like she was afraid he might disappear again. Their father kissed the tops of their heads and whispered, "I'm so sorry I wasn't here sooner. I should have seen it, but I promise you both, things are going to change." The stepmother tried to speak, her voice sharp, desperate. "You're misunderstanding. They're just dramatic children, always crying when they don't get what they want enough." His voice cut like thunder, and for the first time she knew her power was gone. "I won't let anyone call my children liars in their own home, not ever again." His glare was enough to silence her. The children's father didn't raise his voice at them. Instead, he crouched down to meet his son's eyes. "Tell me what happened, son. You don't need to be afraid anymore." The boy hesitated, his lips trembling, then he whispered, "She always yells at us when you're gone. Sometimes she locks us in our room and says nobody cares if we cry. I just wanted you to come home." The father's chest ached with guilt. He gathered both children into his arms again, tears tears pricking his own eyes now. "You will never have to feel that way again. You are my world, both of you." That night marked the end of something dark, but also the beginning of something beautiful. The stepmother packed her things and left, her place in their lives gone as quickly as it had begun. The house, once filled with tension and fear, slowly transformed into a place of laughter and safety again. Days turned into weeks, and the boy and his sister began to blossom. Their father didn't just return home early one night. He began returning home every evening, making time for bedtime stories, family dinners, and games in the backyard. He rearranged his life, choosing his children over endless boardrooms and late-night meetings. One evening, as the sun painted the sky with gold and pink, the boy looked up at his father while they sat on the porch. His sister was asleep in his lap, clutching her favorite stuffed bunny. "Daddy," the boy whispered. "Yes, son. Thank you for coming home that night." The father's throat tightened. He kissed his son's forehead and said, "I didn't just come home, son. I came back to you, and I'm never leaving again." From that day forward, their little family grew stronger. Love became their language, kindness their daily habit. The boy no longer begged for safety, he lived in it. His sister no longer cried herself to sleep, she dreamed in peace. And their father, he no longer measured his wealth by the numbers in his accounts, but by the smiles of his children, the laughter echoing through the halls, and the joy of knowing that the richest thing in his life was already right there in his arms.